With 4 million sounds, what will you create? Take the free trial today.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Superbooth Home Edition. We're here with Dan from Forum S, who's you're in San Francisco, right, Dan?
No, we're in Portland, Oregon.
Portland,
yeah.
I do beg your pardon. Okay, right, okay, cool. Well, I hope everything's okay with you there, and we're pleased to be able to see you and talk to you, because the technical rehearsal for this went way worse than the setup for the actual shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, hey, it's really awesome to see this actually happening. So,
yeah, cool.
Yeah, considering all the cables and extra cables and wires that aren't, Eurorack patch cables we have flying around.
So, Dan, what are we looking at? What are you showing us?
So here on the camera, this is the Ensemble oscillator. We had it at NAMM, as we was really kind of made a big splash there in January. We finally have it. It's ready. They're in boxes coming to us from our production facility. So, and as you know, everything's moving a little slower in global economics right now. So we're a little bit delayed, but it's happening, and they are just about ready to go. They'll be in May at some point. So in case you missed that, I can give like a kind of quick
please do.
overview of this. Yeah. So what this is it's an oscillator, but it's made up of 16 oscillators. And the oscillators themselves are tuned to notes and a scale, and you can pick different scales. You can also program your own scales. I can show that later. And you have different banks. You have 3 banks of 10 scales each. So when you add together different notes in a scale, you get a chord, right? It's up to 16, so it can be complicated chords and stuff. But also, if you know anything about like Fourier analysis or like kind of harmonics, you know that a wave shape is also a combination of multiple different sine waves whose frequencies are tuned, in a particular way. So you can also think about these 16 notes making a chord. You can also think about them as 16 different sine waves adding up to make a wave shape, to make a complex wave shape. And so you can kind of hear that on some of these scales. So rather than like a chord here, what you're hearing is maybe more like a wave shape, right?
So like partials of additive synthesis almost as well, right?
Exactly. And the boundary between a chord and wave shape is gray. It's a gray area, and this module really just lives in that area. So it is 16 oscillators, but it's not, as you can see, it's not 16 1-volt harmonically. They're all linked together harmonically necessarily, or else it wouldn't be an ensemble oscillator. So there are 2 CV 1-volt per octave inputs. Pitch does transposition, you could call it. It just tracks your pitch just like any old analog VCO that you're familiar with. Root is the other one, and Root moves all the notes, all the pitches up and down, but it keeps them quantized to the scale that you're in.
Okay.
So it's like pre-quantization, post-quantization. You also have spread parameter, which pushes how far apart they're pushed. So you can do them real tight together, and you can do them farther apart. And as you push these notes up and down, whether for root or for spread, they crossfade between the notes in your scale. So if you have 15 notes in a scale, those notes are repeated up and down, either by octaves or by depending on the bank you're in. They're repeated up and down the entire range of human hearing. And as you move those notes, the pitches through that grid, the different lines in the grid light up, and those are the notes that you're hearing. And if a note happens to appear in between 2 lines in the grid, both of them light up, and they light up in a relative amount depending on how close or how far it is from each one. So you hear this nice crossfading, this harmonic crossfading effect as you move up.
And they seem to be spread. There's a very wide stereo spread on this as well, which is that because you got like an odd and an even thing, or is there some stereo?
Yeah, there's 3 different stereo modes. I think I'm on alt even right now, and then I can change to low high. Sorry, there's a little bit of lag on the audio. So yeah, there's low, high. And then, so the low, oscillators 1 through 8 are coming out one ear, and 9 through 16 are coming out the other ear. And then you can also go root and the rest. So you have just the root note coming out one ear, and then all the other oscillators coming out the other ear, which is really handy for self-patching, because then you have just the bass note, which you can bring down to about 1 hertz and you can patch it to itself or modulate things like that. So I tend to not want to like leaving it in that position unless I'm doing that kind of patch, though, because it feels unbalanced. But you have a similar thing. You have a freeze function. So when you hit freeze, half of the oscillators freeze their position, and the other half can still be changed. And you have the same. You can select the bottom ones or the top ones or every other to be frozen, or just the root note is frozen.
Right.
So you have detuning as well, which gives you detunes them. The higher oscillators get detuned more than the lower ones, so progressively more and more detuning. So it gives a much more full stereo sound. Hopefully, if you're listening at home, you're hearing this in stereo, because it does give that.
Yeah.
It does have a nice stereo effect. It works in mono as well too. If you just patch in one of the jacks, they're automatically mixed together in mono. Some of the stereo mode things don't have meaning at that point, but so now besides this, we have a bunch of wave shaping controls too. So right up to this point, we've only been hearing sine waves added together, but we have this other we have these wave shaping called twist, warp, and cross FM. And twist is a phase distortion, and there's 3 different algorithms. The third one. This is a bit crush algorithm here.
Interesting.
And then a pulsar pulsar algorithm, which is a pulsar synthesis. It's in Microsound. It's documented there. Curtis Rhodes worked on it. This isn't a full pulsar synthesizer, but it takes one aspect of it. It makes some nice sounds. It kind of squishes the sine waves together, but leaves a blank space in between them, so the frequency stays the same, but the wave shape changes. And then a ramp, which kind of makes a triangle. We also have these warp, which are wave folding type effects, which give wave shaping.
All right, loads more harmonics coming in now, right?
Yeah, lots. And you can hear this. I haven't mentioned the balance now, but if you turn down, I'm just going to hear one ear, one oscillator, but just so you can hear this, the wave folding. That's like triangular, or kind of a, I forget. This one is a Chebyshev algorithm.
Oh, that's nice.
Harmonic series, right? Now when you hear it with all the oscillators together, you get a lot more. And then there's a triangular one.
Yeah, it's almost like filtering, isn't it? It's quite an interesting kind of effect from what I can hear.
It is. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is this is not like if you just had 16 oscillators and you did wave folding on all of them, of course it'd be intense, but it wouldn't be the same, because these are all tuned together, or all tuned to mathematically related relationships. And when you add harmonics to things that are already mathematically related, the harmonics mix in really interesting ways. It's that concept is the basis of FM synthesis. Going back
so
to
are these analogically generated or digitally generated? Because I imagine managing that in analog would be a nightmare. Something
it'd
you
be a
couldn't do.
nightmare. No, it'd be a nightmare. Yeah, it's all digital, right? Yes, this is a DSP platform, of course. Or we wouldn't be able to offer it at $299 if it was 16 analog oscillators with 16 wave folders with 3 different algorithms and the ability to program your own scales and store them. It would be a nightmare, and it would never stay in tune. Anyways, so this is we took advantage of the digital technology here to do stuff.
Well, that's the way to do it. The thing that's really exciting about a lot of new Eurorack modules is either hybrid or fully digital, but just kind of creating, because there are no sort of engineering limitations. It's more an imagination limitation, in that respect.
Yeah, mostly. Well, there are a lot of engineering limitations.
Wow.
But
I generalize, obviously. I'm generalizing.
Well,
So,
you have a different set of limitations than an analog, and these whole new realms are opened up, where we can explore. So, and we're still exploring them as new chips are coming out in quantities or costs at quantities that's suitable for this kind of thing. We're able to play more. So
Yeah,
it's an exciting time. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
this
So-
guy. I'm sorry. You still got. There's more. There's more.
There's a little more, and making deep, but I think there's one other big button up here called Learn. Maybe I'll just mention this. So, this is how you make your own scales. So, get something a little more simple. So you can plug in a CV gate keyboard. I don't have that set up here, but be CV there and gate there, or you can do it manually. So if you press Learn, you're going to record your own scale. And so now I'm going to press and hold it again and dial in a note. Okay, so the first note was where I was when I pressed Learn. I added my second note. Now I'm going to add another note. Now I'm going to add another one. Right, so you can just add a few notes like that by dialing them in. You could also have a keyboard set up and doom, 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 doom. I meant to have that set up, but didn't make it. But anyways, then you can delete notes, you can fine tune them, go back. When you're done, you hit Learn again. Now this is the scale that I made. So those are the intervals that I just programmed in.
That you chose.
It's
So you
not the
get.
actual.
But you get all the interpolation and all the kind of other functions applied to that scale, right? Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So, just because I played like a C2 and then an F sharp 4, whatever, it doesn't mean it's always going to play C2s, because you can still pitch up and down and you can still root. So it's just those intervals that I programmed in that it's going to repeat those intervals up and down the entire range of human hearing. And wherever I dial my spread and my root and everything, it's going to pick notes that, those intervals would apply to.
So you set the rules effectively. Yeah.
You set the rules, and then you throw your oscillators into it, and they find where they need to go, and they're all going to be related to those intervals that you play. So that's all the major features of the Ensemble Oscillator.
So just a couple of questions. You say it's nearly in production, or it is in production, and how much is it going to be? Have you got that kind of stuff worked out?
It's out of production. It's just in it's in boxes, waiting for the shipping industry to catch up. So
okay.
We still have to box them up for people and test them and things. But it's $299.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a hard date because we just can't do that right now. But it seems pretty likely it'll be in May.
Excellent. So what else have you got in the rack? You said there were a couple of other things you wanted to show us.
Yeah. So we have slide on down. Have the percussion interface here, and the PI expander, which is it's an expander, but people never want to buy the expander; they buy the main module. So for these, we're selling them together, so you don't have an option. It's made for tracking to percussion, whether it's live through microphones or recorded like on a sampler or something like that. And it's pretty simple. You patch here. The expander has the 1/4 inch input. There's also an 1/8 inch input there if you have that kind of mic or something. This is off screen. Here I have a contact mic. I have a contact mic here, just connected to a blank panel. So
I think that was from the Wave Drum Mini, wasn't it?
Was this?
Yeah, I think so.
This
I
mic?
remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Oh yeah.
So that's just like a contact mic, and then it generates a trigger, I guess, right?
That's right. Yeah. So and then you have all these controls, and I could make like a little patch here, just to make something happen when I. Okay, so there's a little lag, but so there you can hear. I have an envelope. I just set an envelope. When I hit this, it fires an envelope here. I can make the decay longer, so the envelope will be longer, right? Or really short.
All right.
Right. You have sensitivity. You have a switch, which is blocked by this cable, low, medium, high. So for gain boost. So Low, you could use a modular level signal, and then high is like all the way to like the faintest, cheapest little microphone, or whatever. If you have just a really low signal, you can boost it quite a bit. And then the sensitivity knob also shows you there's a red light that comes on when you're clipping, so you turn sensitivity up high enough and that red light comes on.
All right.
And sometimes it's fun to play with the clipping too, because you get some of the extra hits. But it's pretty easy. There's a sustain knob, which tells you can't have multiple triggers within that sustain period. So
right,
if you're drumming, you're hitting,
yeah,
and if you're hitting really fast, but it's going to be about that tempo, you could dial that in, and then you're not going to get false hits, or turn it down and you get those false hits, which sometimes are nice. Then you have attenuators for the envelope level, and the inverted envelope level also, which is nice for ducking type effects, and you have an attenuator for that. So you could run that into a VCA, kind of do that ducking effect, or just you have an inverted envelope out. There's also an audio out pass-through, so this could be used as an interface. So you could boost your microphone low level to a modular level signal.
All right. Okay. All right. That's
There's a follow mode and a generator mode. Generate makes a clean, attack decay envelope, and the follow mode follows the peaks of your signal.
So you can get it to chatter and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. And actually, I was in follower mode there. So, but I have a pretty clean signal on this contact mic. So there's tons of outputs, gate out, of course, and then lots of unattenuated envelope outputs, and then attenuated envelope outputs. So there's a lot of fun, and this is priced just over $99. Sorry, I didn't have my price list on me, but it's pretty cheap. It's like low $100, and as for both of these, you can't buy them separate because we don't want.
Okay.
The reason we offer them as separate panels is because you might want to have all your inputs on one side of, if you had a six drums, six mics, and then the other on the other side or something like that. So it makes it easier.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
And when's that? Is that? Oh yeah, you're just about to answer. You're you're ahead of me. No date. No. Soon.
Yeah. Soon. Yeah. It's after the ensemble oscillator. It's not actually in boxes on its way over to us. Yeah. So. Okay. But it'll be this summer. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Okay. So what else have we got? You mentioned a power supply as well. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. We kind of made some. Scoot on over here. We kind of made some soft noise about the some soft release of our new power supply. So we've had the RoPower 30 and the RoPower 40 out for like 8 years or something, and they've been super popular. But it's just time to update them. So we decided to split the line from 2 into 3. So now we have the RoPower 25, which is $99. So it's a low cost, but it's still a good, quiet power supply. Runs cool, and you get 1.4 amps maximum on the plus 12 volt, though we recommend 1.0 amps. If you're going by your modular grid numbers, go to 1.0 amps, because there's inrush current and things like that. Then 0.5 amps recommended on the negative 12 volt, and the 5 volts 1 amp maximum. That's the RoPower 25, is $99, and then we have the RoPower 35, which replaced the 30, and has similar specs, but you get actually like a decent negative 12 volt rail of negative 1.25 amps, and it's okay to run it at 1.4 amps on the plus 12, and then the 5 volts also 1 amps. So, and that one is, that's already out. The 25 and 35 are already out. Sorry, I'm looking up the price. I didn't have all my.
I understand.
Audio down. I had to open a new browser to get this to go. And here we are. That is priced at $145, the RoPower 35.
Okay.
So, and that's already out. That's already in shelves. We just never really officially kind of, announce it at a show. But the new one, and this is new, is the RoPower 45. This is not out yet, and the panel will be black like the RoPower 40. But It is our new. It's the new beast. It surpasses the RoPower 40 in terms of specs. 1.5 amps on both plus and minus 12, and the 5 volt gives 1.5 amps also. But the really cool thing about it is this little daughter board, which I'm fishing out. We have a special feature on this. So this is the normal power supply, right? You're familiar. Plug in your. We have this little daughter board, which is a Bluetooth power monitor. And what you do is you just plug it on there. And the daughter board will be sold separately. It'll be around $50 or something. And let me just kind of show you what I mean, why you would want to do that. Because power supplies, let's just plug this in, flip it on. Okay. So I don't know if you saw that, but that 5 volt light just went from red to blue. The blue means Bluetooth is connected because I have this app running that connected to it. Now, these aren't real numbers. I have a demo screen, but this tells me what my power usage is on the plus 12, minus 12, and the 5 volt right here, and it's on my phone. So most of the time, you don't actually care. Your synth is working fine. You don't need to check your power. But if you do need to check your power, you can pull out your phone or tablet or your computer, open up the app, and it'll tell you what's going on with your power supply.
Right, well, that's cool. It sounds like the sort of thing that if you're really into barbecuing and you have a remote control thermometer, that's the sort of thing you're the customer, right?
It's the sort of thing, yeah. It's that sort of thing. And here's the actual numbers. It's 0, so it's actually connected now. Yeah, it is the sort of thing. But it's the thing that most of the time it doesn't come up. But when you do have a power problem, being able to rule out, am I overtaxing my power supply? Is that new module I plug in, and all of a sudden something's going wrong? Being able to rule that out is super handy. And, we've been making power supplies for almost a decade now. They're super popular. People email us when they have any kind of problem with their system because they're like, maybe it's the power supply. So this, and we, without going in there and being like, can you do a current measurement, which is hard to do because you have to actually break some wires to do a current measurement. This does that for you. And I think it'll really help people be able to troubleshoot the system. And it's a low-cost add-on, too. Also, since it's built into the power supply, it doesn't add any extra. It doesn't drop your power voltages. Like normally, if you just added a meter in series, it runs through the meter. This the sense is after the meter here, so it actually compensates for any kind of drop that the meter itself causes. So it's safe to leave it on always run your power through it because it's built into the power supply.
All right. So it makes, I can see how that would make a lot of sense, particularly if you're maybe performing live and stuff and you think, hold on a minute, so what's not right? And that maybe that's the last thing you look at and then you could just check that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because otherwise there's no way to know. There's no way to know what your power draw is. And you can't go by the numbers on modular grid. You need to do a measurement because those numbers don't reflect actual, all the possible conditions, temperature, inrush current, modules, is the screen at full brightness, some digital modules, some different frequencies being output can cause interrelation. Sometimes different revisions of a module that they didn't update the power specs, so you need to do a measurement if you want to actually know. So this just gives you the tool. And if you don't care, if you're like, my synth works fine, I just need a good power supply, it's fine. You don't need to use it. It's not like a screen that's always there. It's only there if you pull out your phone, open up the app. So
sounds like a cool idea, though. And also, I imagine techs everywhere are going to be thanking you for getting it into as many systems as possible, right?
Yeah. We thought about when someone emails us with my thing is not, here, we're going to mail you a loaner board. You put this in your system, tell us, download the app, tell us what the numbers say, and then mail it back when we figure it out,
Yeah.
It's going to be a useful tool, kind of. So yeah, that's what we got.
Dan, thank you very much. That's brilliant. So, as and when, we hope that obviously the gates will be unlocked shortly and everybody will be able to get hold of your stuff and play at parties and all of those sort of things. So, but thank you, Dan. That's great.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we're excited.